give some kind of introduction to who you are, and I'm going to do a cool introduction here.
Beautiful.
Right, a cool introduction. So I'm going to look through the camera and say hello to the people who would perhaps watch this as a video recording or audio. My name is Spirit, and I'm here with Adam Holm. And I imagine, like back a couple of 100 years ago, when people didn't have enough food in Sweden, some people were brave enough to cross the Atlantic to go to the new and promised land, because you never know, maybe you're going to find a better way to live. And some people did, and they came to the new land as the first people. They were not really the first people in the new land, but that strikes me as something that's quite similar to something that you've been doing. And I would like to ask you how that journey has been for you, because you've been to like a long journey.
Yes.
And before I let you in here, I also want to say, like, if I understood you, you wouldn't call yourself an influencer, you would call yourself an outfluencer. And there's a good reason to why you would say outfluencer instead of influencer. So how about we start in this end of the conversation?
Great. Yes, I call myself outfluencer because I like to be special. And the main reason is that I experience that we are currently, as a society, on the people that follow me on social media, or let's say like this, nature can be very helpful, and we are currently spending a lot of time inside. So with my social media, I want to inspire people to move outside. And then it's funny to call myself outfluencer.
Yeah, because like once you understand the backstory, it makes so much sense. You're helping people to find nature.
Yes.
That's an outfluencer. Yeah. And you've been doing that for a while now, so you actually have gotten quite many people who follows what you do. You've been doing multiple projects.
Yes. And
your last projects, like your last two projects, could you kind of tell us about what have you been doing the last year?
Last year I have been traveling. I've been running a project together with four other amazing humans, Hannah Linder and David Solberg, who you know very well as well, is a common friend of ours, that we call Love Like Nature, which it was a project where we traveled and met with 10 different indigenous tribes in South and Central America and lived with them during a period of time, and have been documenting that journey, which is turning into a documentary. We are in the editing phase of that. I just arrived home from the journey, and so after 4 months of filming and experiencing the time with the tribes, I moved into another project that I've been calling My Journey Home, which was me traveling home from the northwest coast, Pacific coast of Costa Rica, all the way back home here in Stockholm, where we are right now. And my main intention was to do it without fossil fuel, which I almost did. And so I biked through through Central America, and then I sailed over across the Atlantic, and then I biked through half of Portugal, and then I took the train back home to Stockholm. And I call it My Journey Home because it was a journey home with my physical body and also with my soul. So those are the things that I've been doing the last year.
That will be the really quick background. So that was well summarized, the whole journey, right? So you just came back here 5 days ago from this 1 year journey. Would it be 1 year in total, the whole?
Yes, it's just like 2 weeks less than a year.
About a year. And you were saying the first project was called Love Like Nature, and that was around 3 months living with the natives.
Yes.
In South America? No, yeah, South America.
Mostly in Colombia, but also in a part of Panama.
So, if I understood correct, you live with different tribes. That was the main idea, to move from tribe to tribe.
Yes.
And that's what's happened as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. We wanted to understand how it is to live in close contact with nature, and if there were any differences between different elements of nature. So we were with tribes in the jungle, in the mountains, in the desert, and in islands at sea.
So that was an assumption before you went. Will it be different depending on how people live? Will they have more connection to nature?
For example, I tried to go there, or we tried to go there without expectations, which is a very challenging thing to do.
Right.
And today I'm sitting here feeling like the biggest lesson I learned during the journey was to not have any expectations. Because every time I did have expectations, they were crushed.
Life punch in the face. Hey boy, you can't think about what life is going to be. Life is going to show you what life is going to be. Right?
Yes.
Was there anything that you now know that you had no idea before you did this journey with the tribes that you thought was interesting to share? No. Could people even understand? Is it possible for me who haven't been there to understand? Is there anything that you would wanted to have known if you wouldn't have done this journey yourself?
Then I would answer that question by saying I was not planning on doing this other project called My Journey Home before. Before I was just planning on flying back home to Sweden and do the edit as fast as possible or create the documentary. But since I went there, I saw climate change with my own eyes, heard the stories of these people that live in close contact with nature, and hearing them tell me how they can't plant because they don't understand the seasons anymore. They are totally changed. Some people they have a plan to just let go of their homes in the islands outside of Panama because they can feel that the sea level is rising, and how people living in the jungle are feeling that the rivers are drying up, for example, or the worst probably the people living in the desert where it hasn't rained for 10 years now, where it used to rain before. So then I decided to not fly home because of climate change. And on top of that, I asked a very wise man. He was a leader of one of the tribes where we met. What is the biggest problem or biggest challenge for this earth when it comes to facing climate change? He looked at me and he said, negative thoughts. At first I did not understand at all, but after spending a lot of time with the tribes, the realization came to me slowly. Okay, so if you think negativity becomes emotions, emotion becomes actions, and negative actions would be war or greed or similar things. And that was a very interesting insight, that we can contribute to creating a more peaceful earth just with our thoughts.
To me, we know each other from before.
Yes.
At least a little bit. For me, you would not strike me as a person who would have a negative impact from the thoughts you thought before.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have trusted your thoughts a lot already.
Yes.
Now, after this realization, even though I guess people wouldn't have called you a person who sent out negative thoughts to the universe,
Mm-hmm.
is there a difference though? After hearing this and after living this, do you feel a difference inside of you about observing, I guess, negative thoughts? Or, right, is there a difference?
Is there a difference in me prior and post the journey?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I set out on the mission of trying to traveling from Costa Rica to Sweden without using fossil fuel, because I wanted to spend time with myself and my own emotions and thoughts, and I did not want to contribute to climate change emotionally and like in my internal universe, and also in the world itself. And I feel like my inner world is now lighter and more clear after spending hours and hours and months at sea, for example, or a lot of hours on the bike just cycling by myself, releasing a lot of emotions. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it gives me at least clues to ask more questions. Like, I understand it's very hard to describe what's going on inside. Like, this is a journey that's been going on for a year. To set the context, you've been spending, after the 3 months with the tribes, your partners went back to Sweden.
Yes.
And you stayed in South America.
Central America.
Decided to, with a bike, go from, I've heard the number of 800 miles, 800 kilometers.
Yes, more or less. I think I biked in total 1,000 kilometers in Central America before I found the boat that I hitchhiked with across the Atlantic.
So you've been spending a lot of time with yourself, just that kind of riding. And then you crossed the Atlantic over to Portugal.
Yes.
And that took, how long did the cycling take, and how long did the boat ride take?
In total, I would say like 15 days of biking. And then I also seeked time and space for myself. I rented a small little house in the jungle in Panama to stay myself in silence, because I have experienced the silence to be one of my greatest teachers when it comes to my soul's journey home. And now I'm sort of moving out of your question, but to answer your question, it took 15 days, and then it took 2 months to cross the Atlantic with stops in Florida and the Azores.
And that was a lot of time spending with yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, right, and with nature. I'm torn about, I'm looking for my curiosity, and I'm torn about two different things, and then they're going to break rapport with this kind of what we're already with, so it's going to take new directions.
Beautiful.
Would that work if I take a new direction?
Yes. Bring any direction that wants to come in. Perfect.
Like, you said, because we're anyway of the topic of traveling, you said you almost managed to go from Costa Rica to Sweden without any carbon footprint on the planet.
No, I would not say that.
Okay.
Because when you, like, carbon footprint comes from eating, clothes, the manufacturer of the boat or my bike, but my intention in the beginning was not to leave any carbon footprint or like fossil fuel when traveling, like my movement. And I was managing that until I jumped on the boat. Then we started the engine to get out of the harbor, And also in an emergency case where my captain got a fishing hook through his leg, we were also going in a police car and the ambulance, and then we started the engine to get into ports. And so then it became minimizing fossil fuel. And then I was, so I did this journey and always try to minimize the fossil fuel when it comes to traveling, and also to other things as well, but the main focus was the movement.
So even though it was not 100% moving without fossil fuel, it's some kind of proof that you can take yourself a long distance at least.
Indeed.
Is that changing? Like, you just came back to Stockholm, now to Sweden.
Yeah.
Has your perspective on how do we need fossil fuels in our society, has that changed anyway? How you see?
Do we need fossil fuel in our society? I don't think we need it to survive, but as our society and our structure is built, it is running on fossil fuel, and it's not possible to just kind of cut it off and stop it. It's a spinning wheel that probably will slow down. And since it is making big changes that has quite negative impact, it is interesting to start with yourself and see what you can do to help slow this process down of carbon footprint.
As you are living, you're starting with yourself. How can I reduce? And hopefully that's gonna have an effect on other people. Yeah. I'm already affected. That it's actually possible.
That's fun, yeah. And when it comes to traveling by bike, walking, change that mindset to see the beauty in traveling slowly and taking every step as just the journey. In my experience, people tend to rush ahead and wanting to go fast and see that when I am there, I can enjoy. And just to be able to enjoy every step of the way, even if you're walking, you're taking a vacation walking in the forests of Sweden. It, according to me, it can be as beautiful as walking in the amazing cloud forest of Costa Rica.
I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it. We're very close to the end of this interview today, like here. And there's a lot to still explore, and like one part I just want to help people to, if people would like to get to know you better, your projects, to follow you, I guess there might be new adventures coming up, who knows. Where could people find you?
On my social media is probably the best, which I'm fasting from right now. So I will start sharing things on my Instagram channel after 2019, so after New Year's. And my name is Adam Holm Swede. So my name Adam Holm and then SWE for Sweden in the end. That's the best way to.
And also Love Like Nature, the project.
Yes, Love Like Nature.
YouTube, Instagram.
We have a website, but we are currently. I think the best way to get all the updates and news is through my Instagram channel for now.
Like a big to understand your whole journey.
Yes.
I would recommend myself, because I've been watching some of the videos, to just watch the videos there. That's a great start.
There's a YouTube channel, exactly, that is called Love Like Nature, where you can watch some of the videos with experiences that we had with the tribe. And if you're interested in my journey home, I have a podcast channel that is on Spotify, Podcaster, and SoundCloud. It's called My Journey Home. there's about 12 episodes, and you can jump in wherever your attention goes. If you want to hear about in detail how it was to cross the Atlantic, or hitchhike across the Atlantic, or bike through Costa Rica, or bike through Portugal, or whatever seizes your attention, you can. Yeah. So we have my Instagram channel, Adam Honsui. We have the YouTube channel of Love Like Nature, which is called Love Like Nature, and my podcast, which is called My Journey Home. Yes.
Yeah, I think, at least myself, I found it interesting to just get to follow so close up, because you did bring a professional filmer,
Yes.
David Solberg.
Yes.
So that's adding to the experience that you actually have. You were prepared for.
Yes, the footage that he created around that project was very beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Yes, thanks. And there's also a podcast called Love Like Nature, if you want to jump in to the stories when me and Hannah Linder, when we talk about the experiences with the tribe. So there's a lot of good things if you want to look into it.
Yeah. I want to end with some kind of, because what I didn't think got justice in this short interview is if we're in a position where we need to reduce the carbon emissions.
Okay.
Right? And we need to stop climate change from warming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're presenting an alternative kind of way to see on climate change that would go back to yourself and your thoughts about the world. Could you give us a short ending note summary on just help me understand that idea that you were speaking about, the negative thoughts?
It's easy to look out and see politics, see the leaders of the world, and sort of feel a sensation that they are responsible. And to me, it's interesting to bring the attention on ourselves. Like, what can we do? And sort of start with our inner world in order to help the outer world. It becomes more fun because you have a beautiful inner world, and it becomes less negative when you're not pointing fingers, and more helpful that way.
Thank you very much. It's weird. We're doing the interview and at the same time we're buddies, friends. So yeah, I really appreciated you taking the time to be here. And we're still gonna continue talking, but for now we're ending the official interview. So thank you very much for coming.
And thank you for asking me to share these things and inviting me to this. It was fun.
Yeah, to my living room, right?
And look at this beautiful light that came in as we were finishing.
Yeah, perfect.
The sun is even on our side.
Yes! Ow!